It is almost a fortnight since the Queen cancelled a trip to Northern Ireland, and she's now being urged to rest until the middle of this month as she recovers from an undisclosed ailment. And there are calls today for the palace to make sure that there are enough senior royals available to make sure that Her Majesty's constitutional responsibilities are not neglected. The existing convention is that if the sovereign were to be incapacitated, her official duties, things like signing official papers, attending the Privy Council, the meetings thereof, can be carried out by her councillors of state. Prince Philip was one of those councillors, but with his death and the departure from frontline royal life of Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, there appears to be a shortage of senior royals able to fulfil some official engagements on behalf of the Crown. It's led to speculation in the papers of a bigger role for some royal women, particularly Camilla, but also Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, the Princess Royal and Princess Beatrice. Joining me now is the royal writer, Rafe Hedel-Mancu. Rafe, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Councillors of State, old role, important role, something we can live without?
A very obscure title. Most people will never have heard of it, but actually very important. In the early part of the 20th century, councillors of state, who, as you said, do act on behalf of the sovereign to do things like grant royal assent if the Queen is abroad, for example, or having a baby. Our Queen's been in remarkably good health medically, so we've been fortunate not to have any real issues apart from things like births and so forth. But in the old days, even the Archbishop of Canterbury could be brought in to act and fulfil royal duties. The Lord Chief Justice. It was a very ad hoc thing that was being done. So the Queen's father set down the rules in 1937 in the Regency Act, which covers what would happen if there was a permanent incapacity or if the monarch was a junior, was a child, a minor.
You have this all with the sort of Prince Regent. I'm showing my lack of historical...
George III, yes. So you did have temporary acts then, but nothing really comprehensive. And the creation of councillors of state happened at this time, and it was stated that the spouse of the sovereign and then the next four people in the line of succession who were adults over 21. So there we get Charles, William, Harry and Andrew. But of course, as you said, three of those people are now no longer available for the position for one reason or another. Now, I see no reason why this can't be changed. In 1953, the Queen Mother was allowed to continue to be a councillor of state, even though her husband was no longer the king. And there's no reason at all I could see to not have someone such as Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, who will automatically become a councillor of state once her husband becomes king. But also people like, I would say, the Princess Royal would make absolute common sense, somebody who's very used to this sort of a role and has all of the necessary gravitas that you would expect for this.
And there's an appetite for hard work as well, doesn't she? We know that to be true. I mean, I'm in danger of conflating two things here. There seems this very strict role for councillors of state, things like sitting in for the Crown at the Privy Council, and what appears to be, and you know far more about this than the vast majority of us, a dearth of people willing to do the donkey work of royal family life, the cutting of the ribbon, the planting of the trees, the opening of the new school. That's slightly different,
exactly.
But the same problem too.
Anybody can open the fates in the schools. You don't have to be a councillor of state to do that. But yes, but this issue highlights the broader problem that we're having now is with the disappearance of Harry and Meghan, there is a dearth of royals on the ground, and the policy of the Prince of Wales had been to streamline the monarchy. So there was a deliberate moving away from the Yorks, from Beatrice and Eugenie. At the time, it wasn't, because everybody thought the Fab Four would be a new golden age, with Meghan becoming a Heineken princess, able to reach the parts that other princesses couldn't reach. Now, unfortunately, she's not Heineken, she's more Marmite than Heineken.
Well, the Heineken went flat.
The Heineken went flat. And so there is this problem now of not enough people around. And it's going to have to be a big decision in Clarence House and Buckingham Palace. Do we actually go again to a wider royal family and then get the criticism about everyone being on the civil list and all of the costs involved with that?
There's a generational dynamic to this as well, isn't there? I mean, you know, some of the older royals, members, extended royal family, Duke of Gloucester, etc., of a certain, very hard-working, done sterling work over the years, but getting on a bit. But will people look at someone like Princess Beatrice and think, oh, there's somebody we can relate to? I mean, I guess it was someone like Sophie, Countess of Wessex, who actually is comes across as a really good egg. People warm to her. Ditto Camilla, obviously. But there are limits, aren't there?
I think you're absolutely right. And that's why I would be very surprised if Beatrice or Eugenie did become councillors of state, whereas I wouldn't be surprised if the Earl of Wessex, both Prince Edward, and Sophie did both become. And this is a 20-year problem, because everyone's now has to wait for the children of Prince William to become of age and fulfil the roles that we were hoping would be filled right now. And it's going to be a problem lasting because, of course, obviously, the Prince of Wales is not young either. He'll be a nonagerian in not too long at a time. And so the ageing of the monarchy is going to be another great issue. Now, all the other monarchies of Europe have set abdications of around 75. And when you even have the Pope, Cardinal Ratzinger, Benedict abdicating, there may come a time in 40 years, definitely not our Queen, her being Queen is a covenant with the people, definitely won't be Prince Charles, but who knows if William at the age of 75 might think we need to actually get the nation around a new young monarch.
I'm out of time, but since you mentioned Prince Charles, and we saw him and the words that he delivered, quite portentous words, in a word, does he go too far, does he stray too far into politics still, or can he get away with it while he's still Prince of Wales?
He has promised that he will not become an activist monarch when he accedes to the throne, so we shall have to hold him to his word.
Rafe, it's so nice when people take me at my word and just keep it short, but thanks very much indeed, Rafe.